My name is George H. and I'm a writer from London. I'm going to be reading an extract from my short story This Is Not an Exit, which I wrote for the Climate Matters anthology. I was concerned after reading a series of articles that detailed that some of those heads of industry most responsible for our current climate crisis were planning on using their profits to hide from the worst of its effects in luxury shelters in remoter parts of the world. Here is an extract from This Is Not an Exit. I've a knack for sensing which way the wind is blowing. This morning, it's sweeping in from the south, washing particles from long dead branches and bleached building slats. I don my gloves and muffler and unfold a stained map I've torn from the rubble of a library husk. There are several ringed points coughing over from the advertising brochure whose filmy pages I'd had to peel apart. This damp magazine is my Bible, handyman's purpose and word of God. On the way out of town, I lean into a thick shrub and draw out a sack filled with building materials. There are several of these stashes I've lodged around the town. I've been cannibalising unused buildings for planks of wood and sturdy timbers. Gardening and hardware stores have provided me with the rest. Having slung these over my shoulder, I'm ready to make my trip into the no man's land. In the woods, it's quiet. There are no birds anymore. The tallest trees are the dead ones, and their smaller kin grow stunted and diseased. The poison got into the water table, even this far out in the sticks. While all of us had our noses pressed to television screens showing crowning international tensions, national parkland was flogged off behind our backs. For those who could afford it, a remote point was an ideal place to wait for all this to blow over and hunker down just in case it didn't. In the cities, polluted air strangled the protests, and meanwhile in the unspoilt countryside, trucks and diggers and other earth-moving machines were chartered and trooped out into the wilderness. I've become adept at chasing the tracks they left behind. My pace slows and I have time to enjoy the anemic sunlight. At the brow of a hill I can cough and forced over retching. The droplets of blood staining my handkerchief are the only sparks of vitality in this cold place. I tie it back across my face and heave the load onto my shoulders once more. I didn't used to have a cough, but I'm not sure how longer I'll have to do this. It's all the more important I finish my task here then. From this vantage point, it's easy to see where the land has been carved away. The trees felled months ago have given way to concrete doorways and rusting vents peering out. The billionaires sheltered here, made a private heaven to weather the storm, and locked the rest of us out. These bunkers were sunk deep underground and sold at high cost. The figures in my magazines are astonishing. No one can afford those prices, not then or now. And those that could pay to cling on to life in their safe cabins, waiting for their descendants to emerge. Even from here I can see warm steam seeping from the filtered vents. Not from all of them, though. I clump through a thick carpet of leaves. Autumn hasn't come, and the trees have shed their load. After checking my map, I alter my path and arrive at a flattened glade shrouded in mist. Ahead of me is a doorway fashioned out of the rock, and fresh moss creeps over the weathered grey surface. Either side are reinforced portholes of thickened glass, and beyond I see nothing but darkness. There's no one checking the weather today. Of course, it's too late for me to beg for shelter. Not that many haven't tried. As the first alarm sounded, swarms of people ascended looking for sanctuary. Weeks later, their skeletons have been picked clean. Those doors are sealed. There's no way in or out until the various internal mechanisms and systems decide that the air is safe to breathe. If I want to make my presence felt to those inside, I need to try a different tack. One problem encountered with the early tests is that if you want to provide an isolated space beneath the earth to weather a storm, or hail missiles, or what have you, what you need is a steady supply of air, filtered of course. And so on completion of each shelter, drills bored thick channels through the bedrock to enable life-giving clean air to the inhabitants below. They were rigged with complex dynamic systems capable of removing toxins from the atmosphere, and in complexity there is room for error. I drop my gear to the ground in a heap and ring it open. Sitting on a dislodged boulder, I eat a cold can of beans and think of my plan for attack. This time won't be much different from the others. When I'm done, I throw the can at the vent. The echo clangs. I hope that somewhere down in the ground they will hear it and fear.